Hi guys, in this video I'm going to be taking you through my process of building a miniature staircase. This is one of my favorite things to do, and I think it's because it's such a defining element within a space, especially when you build it out with walls and trim work and other details to make it kind of feel more built in. So to begin with, I always start with a pre-made staircase, and then typically I build walls around the bottom part of the staircase with MDF, and I do this because it gives it a realistic built-in kind of feeling like most staircases. It also gives you the opportunity to customize it so much more, so you can do a lot of different trim work. You can put a door so there's an accessible space underneath the staircase. There's just so much more you can do with it. Once I have the MDF cut down, I'm just going to take some wood glue and I'm going to glue it together, and then I'm going to let that dry. And once this piece is dried, I'm going to go in with adhesive caulking, which, if you are new here, this is an absolute essential material that you need for any miniature project that you're working on, and you can find it on my Amazon storefront just like any of the other tools and materials that I'm using. But what this adhesive caulking does is that it seals any gaps or imperfections on your projects, so it kind of takes the pressure off when you're working on something to make it perfect, because you can go back in and you can apply some adhesive caulk, let it dry, sand it down with 220 and 120 sandpaper until you get a nice finish. That's pretty much it. It'll give you a really seamless, elevated look to your miniature projects. And so now that I have this sanded down and to the finish that I want, something new for me recently has been getting into 3D printing within the last like 5 or 6 months. I'm going in with a 3D printed step that I made that has a rounded edge, and I'm adding it with some super glue, and then I'm going back in with that same adhesive caulk and sealing those gaps. Now I'm starting to build out the trim work. I'm going in and I'm adding kind of like a stripe, kind of beadboard texture to the side of the staircase just to bring some verticality. It's also a type of trim work style that I haven't worked with much on a staircase before, so I wanted to see how it would look. I designed some stair brackets and I 3D printed them. They're only like a millimeter thick, which I think is kind of the perfect thickness for this scale. And I'm taking these pieces and I'm adding them to the side of the steps just to bring in more texture. And I'm using that same super glue to attach these. I decided to design my own Newel post, which is the large post at the base of the staircase. For the spindles, I'm sticking to a style that I really love, and then I'm just adhering these with a combination of wood glue and adhesive caulk because it allows a strong joint and it helps keep these standing straight while they dry. And so once everything is secure and dry, it is time to go in and paint. So I am going in with the color green, which I love. It's Bonsai Trunk by Bear Paint. It's a really nice kind of deep sage green, and I'm just color drenching the entire piece. Color drenching is something that I really love it highlights the different textures and elements of the piece without it becoming too overwhelming and kind of tacky. So I do that technique a lot, and it's a personal preference for me. And especially since the runner that I'm working with is very bold, I didn't want to have too much competing visually. So now that the staircase has been painted and it is dry, it is time to go in with the runner. My biggest tip for runners is to use ribbon. The ribbon that I got wasn't wide enough for this staircase, so I just used 2 pieces to get the desired width, which ended up being pretty perfect. The reason to use a ribbon as a runner is 1, you have so much more variety to choose from, and 2, it's a lot more affordable. To attach the runner to the stairs, I'm using a fabric glue. I would avoid using any intense kind of super glues because they can and will bleed through the fabric, and that'll show up and it won't really give you the look that you want. Whereas fabric glue doesn't do that, and it also allows you some wiggle room time before it cures, where you can move it around and adjust it as you need. And the finishing touch to the staircase, I took some thin brass rods and I cut them down to act as the metal pieces. I can't remember the technical name for these, but they are metal pieces that go across to the runner to hold it in place. It's just another detail that really kind of takes the staircase to the next level and brings another sense of realism. Now that the staircase is finished, I am obsessed with it and I'm so happy with it. I originally had no plans on doing anything else, but I decided to build a room around the staircase, and that is what the next video is going to be. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know what you think, if you have any questions or suggestions, and make sure to check out my Patreon. I have about a year of exclusive content happening over there. I'm starting to introduce some new videos and kind of like studio vlogs over there, so make sure to check that out. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.